something that really causes problems for people because we're just not familiar with it is fiscal policy versus monetary policy. So I'm going to do my best here to try to explain it. What would be really probably a good idea is if you had a piece of paper, you kind of make a little T chart here, like I've made in front of you, and maybe you could follow along. And then also have a blank sheet of paper because you can practice like going through it. So let's just talk about some real basics. First off, who is in charge of fiscal policy? Well, first off, fiscal policy is tax. Okay, so taxing and spending. So what exists that controls taxing and spending? Well, that's Congress. By Article 1 of the Constitution, Congress is given power to tax, it's given power to make a budget. So that's it. It's pretty straightforward. Fiscal policy is controlled by Congress. Of course, the president can veto a bill that Congress passes on spending. However, Congress it has the power to do that. So that's fiscal policy. The monetary policy, that includes raising or controlling interest rates, and then also the money supply. Money supply is money banks loan from federal banks, also known as Federal Reserve banks, and of course that is controlled by the Federal Reserve. So interest rates, money supply. By the way, interest rates also are called discount rates. And that is the discount rate is the interest rate that the Federal Reserve charges to banks when banks loan from the Federal Reserve. So that way they can then loan money to you and I to buy a car or a house or some other item that we're buying. All right, so let me just size this up here. And so that's the first thing. All right, so what would be really a great thing is just like turn your paper over right now and try to recreate this without looking. Second part of this economic policy is Keynesian economics versus supply side economics. Keynesian economics, first off, is associated with the Democratic Party today. Supply side economics is associated with the Republican Party. Then we go over here to Keynesian economics, and here, the real question for these two economic ideas is like, what do you do if the economy's not doing well? Like, what do you do if the economy's in a recession, or if you're in a depression? So we think of FDR. Oh, he was president during the 1930s, and Keynesian economics was like the thing. And so that is increase in government spending, even if it means deficit spending. So deficit spending is fine. You're going to increase government spending. That's going to supposedly stimulate the economy. They're going to build roads. They're going to do highways. So think of that like highways, buildings, public buildings, welfare programs, et cetera. Those sort of things are classic Keynesian economics, and it's supposed to stimulate the economy. The government is spending money, and this is, getting people jobs doing things. On the Republican side, you have supply side economics, and the president who's most associated with that is President Reagan. And of course, current President Trump, very, very similar policies, and that is cut taxes. That is a big thing. Take money. It's not that the government should spend money to get us out of a recession. It's that the government should step back, cut taxes, give more money to the people, and the people spending money is going to spur the economy, and that will then create jobs. So that's the kind of difference here. One's kind of more leaning toward the government doing something to stimulate the economy, and on the supply side, the Republicans, they believe that the government should kind of get out of the way. In fact, along with that is cut regulations. So burdensome regulations on businesses, so that way it's easier to start a business. And if it's easier to start a business, then therefore they're more likely to hire people, and this will stimulate the economy. So these two economic theories clash, and this is still very much a debate in our politics today in America. All right, so right now I would take a moment and flip your paper over and see if you can create Keynesian and supply side economics and like just understand like what they do when an economy is in a recession or in a depression. So take a moment and do that. Maybe pause the video. And that leads us to the part that everybody, this is where people have trouble with. So what happens with fiscal and monetary policy during a recession or a depression? So let's talk about bad economy first. First off, understand this is that a bad economy, that means there's low demand. Like people aren't buying goods. That's what it means. Like they're not buying goods. Matter of fact, you might even have what's called deflation. Like prices are dropping. And my classic story that I always tell is that deflation happens every springtime when summer clothes go on sale and winter clothes are sold because no one, sold really cheaply because nobody wants to buy winter clothes because summer's coming. And at the end of summer, there's deflation in summer prices. Suddenly, you want a good bathing suit, you probably can find one at the end of the summer. There's deflation happening. Why? Because demand is low. So therefore, they sell off these products, in the off season. So, but the same thing, if that happens in an entire economy, across the economy, then that causes a recession. Like suddenly we don't need people making so many goods. So they end up getting laid off, they get fired, and the economy, retracts, it gets smaller. So low demand is the thing that's happening. So the question is, like, what can the Federal Reserve do to try to create more demand? So that way the economy grows. So a couple things that they would do is this. One, they will lower interest rates. See, when interest rates are lower, that encourages people to go to a bank and ask for a loan. Maybe they'll buy a car. Maybe they'll buy a new washer and dryer. Maybe they'll go on a vacation. Maybe they'll start a business. And if by doing that, this would stimulate the economy and create business and jobs. So that's lowering interest rates is going to stimulate the economy. So that's what the Federal Reserve does when the economy is not good. They're going to charge less interest rate to the bank, and the bank will then charge less interest rate to you. The second thing that they're going to do is uh, they're going to increase the money supply. So they're going to increase the amount of money that they will loan to banks based on the discount rate or the interest rate that they charge. So they're going to increase the amount of money that banks can borrow so that way banks can then loan to you or me for again products or even a business, which would then help the economy grow. So this is supposed to be increasing demand so that way the economy grows. Now, further down here, of course, uh, Keynesians in a bad economy are like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're going to spend government money. Like we are going to increase government spending. So that's what a Keynesian would say. Whereas a supply sider would say, let's cut taxes and deregulate. And you should know that when the economy went bad in 2008, right after that, President Obama got elected. He's a Democrat. So, like, huge increase in government spending. And for most of his years in office, frankly, we had over $1 trillion deficits every single year because that was supposedly going to stimulate the economy. When President Trump came into office, he is a Republican. He cuts taxes and been deregulating ever since. And that's, in order to stimulate the economy. And of course, there's a debate between Republicans and Democrats today about whether or not the economy right now, which is doing really, really well, is that more because of, well, Obama, fans of Obama would say, oh, well, I mean, Trump just got lucky. He got to take over when the economy was already doing well. And, it was Obama who saved the economy. And then people who are fans of Trump would say, yeah, the economy was kind of terrible under Obama and it was slow growth. But then once Trump cut taxes and deregulated, this has really created a boom that we have today. And so that's, again, part of the debate in the public sphere. All right, so that's a bad economy. Now, in a good economy, what's happening is there's high demand. So high demand means that there is probably inflation. So high demand equals inflation. which by the way is okay. Inflation is okay as long as it's not really fast. A slow rise in prices is